Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
It's Jeff. Hope you all having a great Saturday. Really nice here today. It's sunny and it's not like terribly hot, and just beautiful out. Nice breeze and everything. So I'm hoping that you're having, the same kind of weather there. That's really nice. So today I have a video from Ben Meiselas that I want you to see, so you'll know what I'm talking about after you watch it. So let's go to that, and then we'll be back and discuss it.
Regime media known as Fox was unraveling on live TV last night following Donald Trump's Department of Justice meeting with sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell and giving her use immunity to avoid further prosecution regarding her sex trafficking, depending on what she told the Department of Justice to further Donald Trump's cover-up. So what were they doing on state regime media, as it is so obvious that Donald Trump is utterly panicked and trying to cover up his Epstein connections and the Epstein files, where Donald Trump's name appears apparently numerous times, according to the Wall Street Journal? Well, Fox rolls out its chief propagandist, Sean Hannity, and he goes, one thing is crystal clear about this all. Obama was a terrible president. He abused his power. And what Obama did with Russia in 2016, Fox wants you to know, it makes Watergate look like a jaywalking violation. This is what you need to focus on, MAGA mush, not Donald Trump giving immunity to a sex trafficker to cover up for a pedophile ring. Just watch for yourself. Here, play this clip.
One thing is crystal clear. Barack Obama was a terrible president, and he abused his power. He fomented a culture of pious corruption inside the halls of our federal bureaucracy. To this day, I can all but assure you that the former deep state actors who carried out this plot to delegitimize a duly elected president, Donald Trump, still believe they did nothing wrong. They didn't care at all about the will of all of you, the American people. They believed their opinions mattered much more, and this information clearly is suggesting that they were willing to lie, manipulate, undermine a duly elected president. To them, using the almighty power of the U.S. government to subvert the will of the American people is what, justified?
And then Hannity brings on his guest, MAGA Republican Senator Tom Cotton. What's he going to do? He's just going to say a bunch of MAGA mush code words. Collusion, collusion, collusion. Obama, Biden, Clinton, Brennan, Comey, Russia, 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 Russia. And there's a lot of collusion. And this is what you should all be focused on. This is what they're doing on Fox. Here, watch this clip.
For years, the Democrats screamed collusion falsely about Donald Trump and Russia. And as you say, there was collusion. Collusion between Obama and Biden and Clinton, Brennan, Comey, Clapper, to brush under the rug the judgments of these career intelligence officials that there's no evidence of collusion whatsoever. And then to put it out through surreptitious means to the American people as a way to undermine the legitimacy of Donald Trump's historic victory in 2016.
Then they bring on this guy, Solomon, and he's like, what we really need to dig deeper in is, what was Special Counsel Jack Smith doing when the FBI executed a search warrant on Mar-a-Lago and they found well, he doesn't say this, where they found that Donald Trump was hiding nuclear secrets at his home and should have been prosecuted for that, but for our idiotic and crooked Supreme Court. But Solomon's implication is that what Jack Smith was really looking for was things related to Obama, Brennan, Comey, collusion, Russia. Don't think about Epstein, anybody. We're going to distract you with these words. Here, play this clip.
I think the second piece that we're also going to watch for, what was Jack Smith looking for when he went and raided Donald Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago in 2022? What was that raid looking for? And does it have a connection all the way back to this period of 16 when we're submitting dirty dossiers to the Intelligence Committee, hijacking intelligence products, and lying to FISA courts and the American public? I think those are two big developments that I think we're going to learn more about in the next couple of weeks.
Nobody's getting distracted. We know what you are doing, and it's making it 100 times worse. What is in those Epstein files about Donald Trump, and we know he was briefed about that his name was in it in May, and he put like 1,000 FBI agents and DOJ agents to look through it. It must be some of the most horrific things imaginable. So then you have Laura Ingraham, then she's got her other Fox guests. And one of the things they're implying here is that the real story, you guessed it, was Obama and Russia, and that Democrats brought up Epstein after the big Obama situation to try to stop the Obama situation from getting traction. What are you even talking about? Y'all came up with this ridiculous 2016 Obama, Russia, whatever. I don't even know what you're freaking talking about, because Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who chaired the Intelligence Committee, said Russia tried to interfere with the election. We know that's a fact. Donald Trump said, Russia, if you're listening, hack the emails of my opponent. And then they did it. To this day, Donald Trump is obsequious to Putin. Putin is out there showing nudes of Melania on TV, and Donald Trump doesn't do anything about it. Putin's like, I spoke with Donald and we talked about cultural exchanges between the United States and Russia. Donald Trump said back in April that he would do secondary sanctions against Putin in 2 weeks, and then lied about it. 2 weeks. We saw how Donald Trump treated Zelensky in the Oval Office. What else do we need to see? The Trump regime recently withheld Patriot missiles from Ukraine and then claimed they gave it to Ukraine. And as far as we know, they haven't sold the weapons to Russia yet sold the weapons to Germany to protect Ukraine from Russia. Anyway, here's what the guests on Laura Ingraham have to say. Here, play this clip.
It really is quite something for the Democrats to now try to resurrect Epstein when we find out that the core of their identity for 10 years has been that Trump is illegitimate as a politician and a president because of the Russia story. The core of their identity. It's all exposed.
Maria Bartiromo blames Russiagate, she says, for the fact that celebrities won't sing at Trump's big events. It's a big problem. The celebrities don't like Donald Trump because of Russia and the Russia hoax. The hell are you talking about? Here, play this clip.
You cannot underestimate what it did to a sitting president. The perception that it created around Donald Trump, that perception made a lot of things happen. People were not going and taking jobs in his first administration. He wasn't able to get talented and the right people in the right jobs. You remember all those celebrities wouldn't sing at his, at big events, at the inauguration, Hollywood. I mean, it was ridiculous. Meanwhile, this is what we saw on the mainstream media all day long. Watch this.
Certainly say with confidence that there is significant evidence of collusion between the campaign and Russia.
And then you get from dangerous just to outright dumb. They bring on this guy Thiessen, who was Donald Trump's former speechwriter, and they show a clip of Donald Trump landing in Scotland, saying that wind energy doesn't work and Europe needs to abandon windmills. And then the Fox host asks the guest, Thiessen, so should we stop with the windmills? Is it true what Donald Trump's saying that if it isn't sunny one day or if it isn't windy, then all of a sudden you lose solar and wind power? And then the guy's like, well, I think that's absolutely right. That's the big problem with solar and wind power. Do you know how energy storage works? These are quite possibly the dumbest people and the most dangerous people. Here, play this clip.
Ruining your oceans. Stop the windmills.
Is he right? He's 100% right. Look, just so people understand, wind and solar only work when there's wind and sun. We don't have technology to store the energy from wind and solar. So if you make yourself reliant on wind and solar, then if there's no sun and no wind, you get no energy. It's insane to be making your countries dependent on this. At first they went from being dependent on Russia for natural gas, now they're depending on wind and solar. Maybe they ought to do what he's doing and start, producing nuclear energy and drill, baby, drill. That would be smart.
I just think we're all coming around that way, and hopefully the West will follow. They have no choice.
And then Kellyanne Conway on the show The Five, Miss Alternative Facts. She goes, so you're telling me you think the Epstein files is bigger than Obama from 2016? Here, play this clip.
I'm sure you wouldn't say that Andy McCarthy is some liberal media goon who wants to cover for them, saying this has always been a foolish scam.
You think the Epstein files is more relevant than this?
No,
you think the Epstein files is more relevant than what OJ
I think that it is not going well right now for President Trump, and they are trying to figure.
Coming up great. He just had Columbia admit to being anti-Semitic and fork over $250 million.
Well, let's see how it pans out with Harvard and someone who actually has a spine to stand up to what he's trying to do to academic freedom in this country.
Okay, they can still hate white people at Harvard. That's not going away, Jessica.
So it's okay what they did to the Jews on campus?
I have literally never said that. And
you just said to somebody to stand up on the campus. You're assuming that Columbia backed down because of the money they paid to these Jewish students.
Columbia 100% capitulated to Donald Trump, and they will regret it.
I mean, honestly, is there anybody buying that? I mean, obviously, you watching this aren't, but like, is there a MAGA mush base that goes, Obama, Comey, Hillary Clinton, okay. I mean, is it like Pavlov's dog response? Like they ring the bell, or it was like, what was the movie? Oh, with Blue Steel and the Pose with Ben Stiller. What's the Zoolander, where they play the thing and he's like, kill the Prime Minister of Malaysia, I mean, does this stuff, when you say these words, does it trigger MAGA mush when they're like, okay, Donald? It's so wild to me. And then you have Jessica Tarlov, the lone pro-democracy voice on Fox. She's like, all right, in a new Fox poll, Donald Trump's approval rating on inflation is 36% right now. And then Greg Gutfeld is like, compared to what? And then Jessica Tarlov's like, what do you mean compared to? That's not the way polls work. He's like, those polls aren't real. And she's like, I'm quoting for you Fox polls, Gallup polls, multiple polls that say this. Here, play this clip.
Shannon already referenced today the new Fox News poll. I would also like to dive in there and look at the approval rating for Donald Trump on inflation, 36%.
Compared to what?
What?
Compared to what?
36%. It doesn't have to be.
No context.
Greg, that's not how polling works.
Oh, please explain to me how efficient and brilliant your polling is. You did a great job in 2024.
It's not my polling. Actually, the polling in 2024
God, you guys are wrong all the time. And by the way, all your polling is your own narratives.
What?
That's all polling is. You're polling your own narratives.
No, we're
not. You build up a fake story and then you go,
how is this? Hey, how do you think the president is handling? According to you, who is a very wealthy person that's not paying attention to this.
This conversation, I mean, that's a compliment. He's so wealthy. He loves you when you say that.
What neighborhood do you live in?
And then finally, earlier in the day, Fox talked about the meeting between Donald Trump's DOJ and Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer, and they almost reported like it's like normal, and there was a breakthrough. She may be getting a pardon. So you gave her immunity, and now you may be giving her a pardon. Here, play the clip.
What else did Maxwell's attorney say?
Well, he said a lot. We wish we could be in and hear what was said in the actual meeting. This meeting was a lot shorter than it was yesterday, but this was a two-day event. The highlight, though, it appears that her team wants a pardon. Watch.
We're going to take one day at a time. I know that's very cliche, but it's true because things are happening so quickly. We haven't spoken to the president or anybody about a pardon just yet. And listen, the president this morning said he had the power to do so. We hope he exercises that power in the right and just way.
Oh my gosh, what are we even watching here, folks? Anyway, hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers.
Okay. Let me give you a little bit of some background here. Back in 2003, this Fox News affiliate was in a lawsuit, I guess, with two employees that they had fired, and it was concerning a case here. Hold on a second here. Well, the thing involved two married reporters, Jane Acri and Steve Wilson, and their former employer, which was WTVT Channel 13 in Tampa, Florida. That's a Fox News affiliate. They reported on the use of Procyclic, a synthetic growth hormone in Florida dairy cattle developed by Monsanto. After 8 months of back and forth between the reporters and the station, the story never aired, and the reporters were fired in 1997. Acri and Wilson sued the station for breach of contract and retaliatory firing in '98. And the reason that they lost their job is really the heart of the case. The reporters submitted a biased and inaccurate report and were terminated after they refused to make the necessary edits. And in 2000, a Tampa jury ruled that WTVT did indeed retaliate against Acri and awarded her $425,000. The Tampa Bay Times, then the St. Petersburg Times reported that. The station appealed the case in 2003. The Florida 2nd District of Court Appeals reversed the ruling, arguing that Acri's retaliation allegation did not hold water. Their allegation and the meme involved the intersection of three pieces of media policy: the false news provision and the whistleblowers statute, which is under the FCC, and the First Amendment. And according to Acri, WTVT deliberately distorted the news by airing a revised version of the Procyclic story that Acri says is prohibited under the false news provision. When Acri threatened to notify the FCC, the station fired her and breached the whistleblower statute that prohibits retaliation against employees who disclose an employer's quote unquote violation of law, rule, and regulation. And the station continually denied that it had tried to broadcast distorted news and said it wanted fair and balanced reports from Acri and Wilson. And so what happened was they continued through this court process, and the defense was that because the First Amendment, gives you the freedom of speech, that the station had the right to, fiddle around with the truth if they wanted to, because it is the First Amendment, and they wanted they were trying to say that they had the right to distort the news and declare impunity as wrong. There was, of course, never a factual, logical nexus that was established between the crippling of the First Amendment and the firing of these two people, but that position, was really not corroborated by Acri. What they were saying was, they can say things on the air, and they aren't, because of the First Amendment, they don't have to answer to anybody for what they say, okay? And somehow that got translated into the bigger press of the whole country, that Fox News corporate was saying that they have a right to lie, okay, which was conflated because this was a Fox News affiliate that was in trouble here, or going through this stuff in Florida. So Fox News basically was saying, we don't lie, and this is this is not the truth or anything like that, and we're honest, okay? And and they didn't really go into too many details about this case in Florida, because if you dig deeper into the story about this thing, it really kind of touches on the fact that yes, the station was feeling that they could not be so detailed about things if they didn't need to be, if they didn't want to be, and they protected under the First Amendment. Okay, I guess technically, yeah, they would be right to say that, but if you want to do that, if you want to get on the TV and disseminate things that are not entirely true, then why call yourself a news organization? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that goes right to the heart of what people think of Fox News overall. Not just the affiliates, but the corporation. They spend a lot of time disseminating, propaganda and fake stuff. And in 2021, the Fox News was sued for defamation by the voting machine companies Dominion Voting Systems and Smartmatic. They said that the network's hosts and guests knowingly promoted lies, that their voting machines were rigged to prevent Donald Trump's re-election in 2020. Okay, and the companies wanted a total of $4.3 billion in damages, but Fox settled by paying $787.5 million to resolve the suit. So they can't have it both ways. Fox News can't on one say, oh well, we don't, we can hand out the truth any way we want, but we're not liars, okay? And then turn around and do what they did here with these two companies by lying their asses off about the voting system without any fucking evidence or any proof at all, okay, that any sort of shit was going on with them. So, with this shady past with Fox News, and now them going after Obama in the way that they're doing it now, would it not be prudent for people to just say, you know what, I'm not going to believe you today because we know that Donald Trump is under a lot of fucking fire right now, okay? And Donald Trump, with your state-sponsored Fox News propaganda machine, you're going to go on the offensive. You're going to do everything you can to distract from what is going on, what really interests people. And poll after poll shows that most Americans want a resolution to this Epstein thing. They want this thing to, they want everything out of the bag, basically. They want all of this out. Stop hiding shit from us because it's making you look bad. Okay, that's what they want. That's what MAGA has been screaming at, as well as the Democrats. People want fucking answers here, because what can I say? Conspiracy theorists are always going to come up with answers. Okay, they're always going to come up with answers, but they're never actually going to have the truth to back up their conspiracies. And that's what drives these people nuts, especially on the extreme right, is that every conspiracy theory they have, it's fabricated. It's science fiction. Okay, they don't have any fucking hard proof to back up the things that they say. And that's why they want to go and they want Trump to come out clean here and say what the hell. They need him to open his yap. Instead, he's spending all his time going behind everybody's back trying to cut deals with Ghislaine Maxwell and other people, okay? And like one viewer had commented on my previous video, this has to be about the victims here. This is really what's getting lost in this fucking argument here about Jeffrey Epstein, is that there are a plethora of victims out there who could come forward, okay, and really bury this fucker. Donald Trump. It worked against Bill Cosby, right? We got everybody together. In the court of public opinion, he lost. Okay? The same thing could happen here with Trump. You get all these victims out. Get them to come out. Me Too movement out there. Get these victims together. Unify them. Okay? Tell their stories. Tell them all the whatever happened. Okay, yeah, just make sure your kids ain't watching, but just put the fucking truth out there. And let Trump squirm his way out of that. Okay? One voice against how many other victims? How many, what, 30, 40, 50 victims? Okay, there's got to be a lot of them. Okay? All of those people telling the story against Trump's denial of their story makes him look so weak, it's terrible. They need to come out. I'm sorry if that means they're going to expose themselves to ridicule and stuff, but hey, this is what happens in our country. We have a group of people who are deliberately trying to aid and abet a fucking criminal here, a pedophile. They're aiding and abetting a dead pedophile. Okay? Let's remember that. Epstein is dead, but yet they're still trying to cover his ass to cover Trump's. Okay? And we already know the dirt on him, okay? Everybody agrees that Epstein was a piece of shit. And the fact that this piece of shit was hanging around with Trump, another piece of shit, makes this whole thing stink all the more, okay? And anybody who's been associated with either one of them two clowns in the past, they're tainted as well. And they even go under question, like Alan Dershowitz. That's another one right there, okay? He was at Mar-a-Lago during these fucking parties, okay? He was getting massages. He says, "Oh, I had my underwear on when I was getting..." Alan, don't try to defend yourself, okay? You're just making yourself look worse, okay? The fact is, he was there, all right? Bill Clinton was there, I think. I don't know how many times. I don't care. If he was there, then, hey, he's got to answer for this too. That's the thing about a cult. A cult would never say that. I'm not a cult. If Bill Clinton was responsible for shit that went on there too, his name needs to come out on that as well. We're not going to be able to put an end to these sex trafficking schemes that go on in the world, okay? But this has got to be a big one because it involved a lot of heavy hitters. A lot of big money was involved in that. And if you want to put a dent in the sex trafficking thing, you're going to have to hit these people, okay? You got to stop them. And that means you have to go where the money is. What fuels this shit. All right? Trump, by all measure, is probably still involved in some aspect of it. I don't care how old he is. All right? If he's trying so hard to change the narrative in this country about what's being discussed, then he's got to be still somewhat involved in this thing. Okay? Now think about that. I mean, if he had no skin in the game, why would he be coming up with all this ridiculous fantasy about Obama and Russia and all this other crap that's been going on since 2016? If the Republicans had anything on Obama back then that showed he was involved in, don't you think they would have brought that out sooner? Of course they would have, especially if it meant to get somebody they wanted elected president. They would have brought that out. But no, all of a sudden, whoa, we got a mountain of evidence. Well, let's see some of that, Fox. You said you got evidence that shows Obama was involved. Let's bring it out. Bring the fucking stuff out if you want, okay? But we know you're making this shit up, okay? You guys, you've done this so much in the past. You've done this so much in the past. You've cried wolf too many times. All right, we can't trust you. The only people that are listening to you are your sycophants. That's it. Everybody else, they want to hear the rest of this story with Trump, Epstein, Maxwell, and that sex crap that was going on. We want to hear from the victims. We want these people to come forward. We don't want to hear about you trying to cut sweetheart deals with a criminal, because that's what Maxwell is. She is still a fucking criminal, and some of these victims says she's worse than you think. She's vicious. All right? So this is not a nice lady. She's not a fucking hero. which, you know, I think some Democrats think that, oh my God, she's going to protest. No, she's not a fucking hero, people. She's as much guilty as Trump and Epstein were. All right? She's the one that went out and got the girls and brought them to Epstein and Trump. She went out there and got these young girls. The Madam, whatever they called her, I guess she had a nickname. I can't remember, something Madam. Okay? This woman is not a nice lady. She might have had money and all that stuff, but that didn't save her from getting convicted and thrown in prison. Now, we know she's guilty. We know she's guilty, but because Trump opened his big fucking mouth and said that all the evidence that convicted her, well, was all fabricated, doesn't even exist, and if it did exist, the Democrats made it. Okay, well, that gave her the fucking key to unlock the fucking cell she's in. All right, and now that she's walking around outside it, she's trying to cut deals with Trump to keep her mouth shut, so she ain't gonna talk. And then what is that gonna mean? You're gonna put a criminal back out on the fucking street to do what? The same shit she's been doing. Okay, that's what you're doing. You're putting a criminal back out on the street. So this has to be about the victims. You see what I'm saying? If you take the story and you focus on the criminals, the point of this gets lost. This is not political theater. This is a crime. And our president is involved in it. Okay? And we have a right to know how deeply involved he was in it. We have a right to see the fucking facts. We have a right to see the client list. The people have to know, because an informed society makes a better society. When we have the facts, we know how to make better decisions. If you lie to us, we end up with fucking criminals as leaders because we are told they are good people and they are not. That's how Trump sold himself, as an answer to everybody's ills, that he knew what he was going to do. He had all the answers. Okay? He was going to bring about a great day for this country. None of that's come true yet. It didn't come true when he was president the first time, and it's not going to come true now. So, I ask you, don't we have a right to question the validity of this fucking guy as a president? Okay? It's not the end of the world if we have to get rid of him. We have a system in place to seat another idiot in the okay, in that chair. But it's not the end of the world if we have to remove him from the office because of crimes. You know, at the very least, they should pressure him to resign. If he doesn't want to go out kicking and screaming out the front door, he should be encouraged to resign his office and just walk away quietly. But, like I said, this is about the victims, and they have to have their day. They got to have justice. They have to see that that justice will work no matter how rich you are or what position you have in this country. They have to have that. That's the only piece these people are ever going to see, is that, yeah, we got them in the end. We got them. Okay? So, you know, I'm not trying to preach here. What I'm trying to say is that if you stay focused on what's really important here in all of this stuff, okay? And yeah, it's entertaining to see Trump squirm here on the hot seat as they keep digging into his past. But what's sad is that there are people who were hurt by this man psychologically at a young age. They were hurt by this guy. And if they can't get any sense that this world will come to their needs to help them, okay, to put the bad people, the bad guys away for having done that to you at such an if they lose hope in that, and apparently, you know, these people are really afraid to come out, so that tells you that, you know, maybe some pressure is being applied to some of these victims, and the only way these people are going to get aside from that is to come forward as a group together, okay, in unity there's strength. And that's what they got to do. They have to find the strength by all of them coming together to stand tall against a guy who really demeans women by nature. You know, he doesn't care about them. And like I said, we did this to Bill Cosby. We did this to Howard Weinstein, Harvey Weinstein, whatever. Who cares about it? Okay. We did this to people we thought we couldn't get. We did this to these people who, were doing criminal stuff. I mean, just what I'm saying. Okay. And it was through unity that they were able to achieve these things. Well, we need that sense of mission again. They need to come back out with their signs, with their voices. Gloria Allred. Okay, we need to get all these people out there, especially now, because now is the time. Now is really the time. You want to make a point, you start from the top down, okay? And Trump is the top here, and you want to make a point of showing that women do matter in this country. This is the time to make that statement, that women do matter, and no matter who you are on the ladder of economic status or whatever it is you do for a living, okay, you're still going to be held to the same standards as everybody else, okay? You do wrong, you're going to get punished, just like if somebody that's poor does something wrong, they're going to get punished too. I can't think of a better way to redeem our justice system than to see that happen, because certainly right now, as it stands, a lot of people really have no faith at all in the system of justice we have. They all think that it's time for it to die, but we have nothing to replace it with. So we have to fix it. We have to fix it, and first we have to fix it by creating, or not by creating, but by actually enforcing the rules and the laws that we have in the books to anybody who breaks them. And that starts with, Donald Trump. It has to. When people see that the law really will bring down somebody, a president or whatever, people will have a little more faith, in the justice system. It could, in their eyes, it'll be worth saving. All right? Let's go to a commercial break. Be right back.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you. Original.
Alligator Alcatraz, an impregnable prison camp surrounded by miles of the most deadly parts of Florida. Poisonous snakes, fierce and hungry alligators, miles of unmapped swamps, storms, hurricanes, fierce heat. No one's getting out of Alligator Alcatraz. The people in Alligator Alcatraz are subhumans, the worst of the worst. Alligator Alcatraz is going to teach these criminals a lesson. If you're upset by Alligator Alcatraz, just wait. Because when the Trump era ends, we're keeping it open for the corrupt crypto scammers like Don Jr., who cashed in on the presidency. Keeping it open for folks like Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, and Tom Homan, who ignore the law, ignore court orders, and deploy masked cops in warrantless raids. We're even keeping it open for the state and federal agents who abuse their power. You built this, MAGA, and some of you will enjoy the view from inside the wire.
I'm wondering if anyone else out there on TikTok is experiencing the same thing that I am, and that is extremely rude Democrats. Extremely rude. Commenting on how you look, what you're wearing, your beliefs, using name-calling, derogatory statements, and just being plain nasty.
Now you see this? This is the level of delusion I aspire to have. I can't imagine coming on here with a straight face and rattling off that list and being so oblivious to the fact that everything you just said describes Donald Trump to the T. Now, there are thousands upon thousands of examples of Donald Trump doing everything you just said. Mocking people's looks. Remember that time he called Ted Cruz's wife ugly? Commenting on what someone's wearing. Do you remember the time they berated Zelensky for not wearing a suit? Mocking people's beliefs, right? Doesn't he call people like me lunatics? Radical left lunatics for my beliefs? And the name calling what is pretty crazy, right? Because there is an entire Wikipedia page dedicated to all the really mean names that Donald Trump has made up for people. A very, 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 very extensive list, right? Because to the point where I am scrolling slowly on this page and it goes on for a minute. And lastly, derogatory. I mean, the things Donald Trump has said about women in general, immigrants, people from other countries, it's the actual definition of derogatory. But you seem to love all of that when he does it. So much so that you are wearing a shirt of him next to Jesus Christ. And you want people like me to take you seriously. Donald Trump from day one brought that nasty energy, that bully energy. And not only did you guys support it, you cheered for it, you clapped for him. But when people like me fight back, then you want to play the victim. I've come to the point to finally understand why it is so difficult to combat Republicans and conservatives. It's because they do not care about being hypocrites. And it is nearly impossible to argue and fight back against people that have no morals, that have no problem saying one thing and doing another.
But I am a few person of your love. So I will leave you in your side you have lost.
It happens in countries like Russia, Iran, and China. The inner circle of the dictator get very rich, while the rest of the country struggles. Now it's happening in America. Donald Trump's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, over $4.5 million. Stephen Miller, that angry little guy his own family attacks, hundreds of thousands. Trump's former golf caddy, Dan Scavino, over $2 million. Sergio Gore, 38-year-old former DJ from Malta, over $1 million. What's Donald Trump done for you? You paying less for eggs? Your taxes gone down? Social Security offices are closing. VA services slashed. Trump's pushing the largest Medicaid cut in history and the biggest tax cut for billionaires. Trump's golden circle gets rich, while the rest of us struggle. It's not fair. Russia, Iran, China, corrupt dictatorships. And now, America.
Donald Trump. It's just not working.
Between the couple, girl, but I am a few person of you love. So I will leave you and you said you had love.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Welcome back. All right, I got some stuff here I want to read. So I hope you're sitting down here. Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer issues a major statement as Trump hints at a presidential pardon. The imprisoned sex trafficker, a depraved accomplice in Jeffrey Epstein's decades-long predation on underage girls, is clearly angling for a presidential pardon. Donald Trump definitely wants all things Epstein to quickly go away, including the infamous Epstein files currently in the DOJ's possession, and just yesterday reasserted his right to issue such a pardon. Enter Todd Blanche, Donald's one-time personal attorney turned Deputy Attorney General of the United States, who met with Maxwell and was given a list of 100 different people in exchange for, well, we'll let you connect the dots. Donald has found himself in quite the pickle. Trump's goons can't just release the Epstein files in their entirety, like they repeatedly promised to do once he returned to power. Why? Because Donald is in the goddamn files. But the president's attempt to sweep the scandal under the rug 3 weeks ago has backfired badly, as large swaths of his red-hatted base simply aren't having it. They want names, they want heads. Pay very close attention to what happens next. The Trump administration is not interested in uncovering new information. They want to bury it. Maxwell's team knows it, and they will play whatever cards necessary to reduce or commute her sentence accordingly. J.D. Vance says he has no idea if Trump's Epstein letter exists, despite Trump calling it fake. J.D. Vance tried to clarify his criticism of a recent Wall Street Journal article on a body letter Donald Trump reportedly wrote to Jeffrey Epstein for his birthday, a report Vance originally called bullshit, but only managed to further muddy the water. After being pressed by MSNBC's Chris Hayes on the Trump claim that the entire story is fake news, Vance equivocated, admitting that he has, quote-unquote, no idea if the incredibly creepy letter actually exists, before laughably attacking the Wall Street Journal as some sort of left-wing operative out to assassinate Donald Trump's character. The MAGA cult leader, of course, has insisted that the letter in the Journal report is fake, and has since sued the paper for $10 billion. Quote, "This is not me. This is a fake thing. It's a fake Wall Street Journal story," unquote, Trump told the Wall Street Journal in reply to the original report, adding, quote, "I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women. It's not my language. It's not my words," unquote. Someone in the Oval Office should probably tell JD to stick to the script or at least glance over Donald's latest half-baked denials before chiming in with his own. Let's see. FEMA says it's sending $608 million to states to build migrant detention centers. Donald Trump and ICE Barbie sidekick Kristi Noem have announced new plans to redirect more than $600 million from FEMA's Shelter and Services Program, money meant to provide humane shelter for migrants, to states willing to build new concentration camps like Florida's Alligator Auschwitz. Trump, of course, has threatened to shutter FEMA altogether and has denied emergency funding requests from blue states while curiously granting them to red ones. And the wannabe dictator has repeatedly insisted that states do more to fund their own disaster recovery efforts, despite the fact that FEMA exists for that very purpose. Just another cruel, hellish, vindictive day in Trumplandia. But hey, how about those egg prices? That's off. I mean, I can't see how the hell he can get away with that. Taking FEMA money to make more of these goddamn concentration camps. You know, what the hell is that? I mean, you want to label something waste, fraud, okay? That right there is a fucking waste and fraud of FEMA money, which could be better used to help people that's in a fucking crisis situation. These camps are not crisis situations. All right? What's the matter? You can't make any more deals with other countries to have their own little, you know what I'm saying? No, we have to make them right here on American soil now. I mean, what's the fucking story here, Trump? Everybody's saying no to you now. I feel like, you know, whatever fucking idea this man has, there's always going to be a big downside for us. No matter what it is, whatever idea that he comes up with today, tomorrow, next week, okay, there's always an angle in it that's going to hurt us in the end. And as far as the Border Patrol agents and ICE, it seems the cruelty is the point of what they're doing. Okay, it really does, because without training, without a certain set of rules of how to do your job, it's like it's like open season on people. All you got to do is just grab them. Doesn't matter how you do it. Okay, grab them, beat them, whatever you got to do to get them. Cruelty is the point, I think. Because when they know there'll be cameras rolling, everybody everywhere has got a fucking camera. And they know that whenever these people show up, somebody's recording it. And it's going to hit the fucking airwaves on the internet. And then eventually the TV. Okay? They know this. So Trump wants these people to look brutal, to scare the pants off of everybody else. But you know what? It ain't working. I read somewhere where a tow truck company out in California, I think in Los Angeles, was towing some of these fucking ICE agents' vehicles away because they were parking their vehicles in areas where they're not supposed to park. And so the tow trucks come over there, grab the cars, and drive off with them. It's pissing the ICE agents off. But it's like, hey, you're out there doing your job, but we are doing our job. You're not supposed to park here like this. And, you know, these cars are not marked vehicles, and there's no sticker on them like a police car would have. They're just regular cars sitting in the fucking road, parked any which way they are, and you're not allowed to do that. So somebody calls, you know, and says, you come get these fucking cars the hell out of here. Here they come. No, ICE agents can't stop that. They're following the law. ICE agents aren't. They're just driving around and, you know, throwing their fat around the streets, and hey, they think they own the fucking country. They park wherever the hell they want. Well, I thought that's a good way. You know, there's ways to fight back. There's ways to fight back without it getting so bloody, you know, or something like that. You know, And if people are, you know, good on the fucking tow truck. People don't like tow truck companies most of the time, but this time the town, they were on their side. And I'm like, good, that's fucking good. Somebody was thinking, how can I put a crimp in their shit there on that? So, but yeah, you can't argue with them doing what they was doing. But I just, Trump going around saying that I will get to the bottom of the Epstein situation is the same kind of shit we heard from O.J. Simpson, said he would find the real killers. Okay, it's the same fucking shit. It's just another lie. He's not interested. He's not interested in fucking finding out or having anything come out. He's even less interested now than before, like last year when he was campaigning, promising people that all this stuff was going to be exposed. Okay, and he hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything. Let's see what this is here. Deportation flights from Florida's Alligator Auschwitz Detention Center have begun, says DeSantis. These flights from the remote Everglades immigration lockup, known as Alligator Auschwitz or Alcatraz, whichever name you want to choose, have begun and are expected to increase soon, says Ron DeSantis yesterday. The first flights operated by the Department of Homeland Security have transferred about 100 detainees from the Immigration Detention Center to other countries, DeSantis said during a news conference near the facility. Quote, "You're going to see the numbers go up dramatically," unquote. He said, yeah, no shit. 2 or 3 flights have already departed, but officials didn't say where those flights were headed. Critics have condemned the South Florida facility as cruel and inhumane. DeSantis and other Republican officials have defended it, of course, as part of the state's aggressive push to support Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration. Building the facility in the Everglades and naming it after a notorious federal prison were meant as deterrents, DeSantis and other officials have said. The White House has delighted in the area's remoteness, about 50 miles west of Miami, and the fact that it's teeming with pythons and alligators. It hopes to send a message that repercussions will be severe if U.S. immigration laws are broken. Geez, you know, wasn't there something that I remember in high school about cruel and unusual punishment? Well, if this is what we're going to do with illegal immigrants, then I guess the death penalty for anybody involved with sex trafficking would be acceptable. Okay? You know what I'm saying? I think that, hey, you know, if you want to come down hard on illegals in this country in that fashion by putting them in a place where the life expectancy there is like less than a few months, okay, then, you know, maybe that's a green light to say, okay, well, if you're involved with a crime with sex trafficking, we go from, 20 years in prison to death penalty. And in the state of Florida, I guess that'd be what they would do, I guess, you know. But, you know, to me, I think this is bullshit. The fact that they still haven't proved that some of these people are criminals is very scary, because we don't know. We really don't know why these people were taken and put there. We really don't, because if they cannot show us proof, all right, and that's what we got to see, proof that these people aren't deserve to be there, let alone deported. If we can't have that, then you're innocent until proven guilty, right? So, in my mind, all those people down there are innocent. Prove me wrong. That's what I'm asking the people in Washington. Prove me wrong. Show me that these people have a record of doing some nasty shit, okay? Let's see it. I think all of America deserves to see this. If you want to shut people up, if you want people to cooperate with ICE, if you want people to say it's A-OK how they're treating people, the first step in that direction to change people's mind is to prove to us that these people are indeed criminals. And we don't want to hear it from the mouth of Pam Bondi, who is a known liar. We don't want to hear about it from KK Caroline, who is another liar. Or, Christ, everybody. I could go down the list. All right, we want to see the fucking facts. We want to see the paperwork unredacted. We want to see it all. You know, I don't think that's a lot to ask for, in my opinion. If these people are leaving the country, then this information is not going to do anybody any good while they're out of this country, but it will let us know that, yes, they did these things and, okay, they can't stay here. They're not even citizens and they're committing crimes. Fine. It would be sad, however, that if some of these crimes include murder, that the victims and the family members won't get their day in court to have some kind of justice or closure in their life for what happened. Instead, it looks like you're aiding a murderer by letting them flee the country to go somewhere else. Okay, that's just how I see it. Okay, if they're not going to stand for their crimes here and be charged and have to face a penalty, then and you let them go, then they essentially get away with it. They essentially get away with it. Okay, but that's assuming that some of these crimes involve murder. I mean, they're talking gangsters, they're talking, what was it, fucking whatever. Okay, they're coming up with all kinds of fucking labels to put on these people. But we're not seeing any of that. We're not seeing any fucking papers or any reports, FBI stuff or anything like that. I mean, yes, I know it's secret, it's everything's secret when it's important for people to know. Okay, it's always secret. But like I said, these people, if you're deporting them, it's not going to matter what we know about them because they ain't going to be here anymore. So let's see the fucking shit before you deport them. Okay? Let us decide whether or not it's just to send them to Alligator Auschwitz or to, what the hell's the name of that one in El Salvador or whatever. Okay? Let us fucking see that and judge for ourselves. The way, we are exposed to how cops do their fucking jobs, and we get to see how criminals are arrested, for drunk driving or stealing or something like that. Let us see the goddamn evidence here. You want to be a transparent administration? I mean, that's what Trump said he was going to be as a president. The most transparent administration in American history. You can start there. By telling the people what the hell is in some of these people's past. Okay? Otherwise, these people are innocent people. They have no reason to be treated this way. And that's what we're going to go with until you prove us wrong. I don't think that's unreasonable. Too often we're so quick to judge somebody as guilty because we hear the charges levied on them. The charges are just charges, they're accusations, until they are proven to be true. And all these people that Pam Bondi's sitting here saying, oh, they're gangsters, that's accusations, that's charges. But you haven't proved it. You're telling us what you want us to hear, but you're not proving anything. We've been lied to so much. Okay, so much. You're expecting us to fucking forget all of that, just to, take your word for it. No, you lost that privilege. You've lost that privilege. We have no right or any reason to think that you're telling us the truth. Not anymore. Americans just can't believe you anymore. It's a sad fucking thing when, we can't ever know. And of course, we can't depend on the fucking press to be a source of facts because a lot of the times we're not getting it from them either. So we're left in the lurch. I mean, we're no better than the people in Russia are right now. The Russians don't even fucking know everything going on with their government, okay? All they know is that there's a war going on and that one of them could be picked up by the military and forced into the army. They don't have no idea. I mean, if their government fell, they probably wouldn't even know about it for months. Okay, that's how much in the dark those people are over there. Well, we're getting to be just like that here. And God, it's got to infuriate you people out there on both sides of the political aisle that you're not getting all the information you need. You know, and the sources that you're getting stuff from are themselves in on the game. So, like I said, you know, I think it's time, way past time, that our government starts to become transparent, okay? Even if it has to mean people whistleblowing like you wouldn't believe coming out of that fucking White House, okay? Whatever it takes, we need to know what's going on. We need to see the shit. We need to understand what the mindset is behind that. Now, as it stands, you know, we feel that it's unjust, that what's going on. We feel that it's inhumane how we're treating these people. They're just illegal. They're not aliens from another world. They're not fucking pandemic victim. You know what I'm saying? These people are not pariahs. Okay, they are human beings, whether you want to think that or not about them. Okay, yeah, their skin color might be just a little bit darker than yours, but they are human beings. And don't you think human beings have certain rights, inalienable rights, okay, to be treated fairly? All right, when you see these families being torn apart, okay, don't you feel anything for them, you know, that this is happening? Or do you just, you know, because you don't like who they are, you can just shut that off and, nah, who cares, right? You're worse than that. I mean, you know, if you think that way, you're even less than a human than the people you think aren't human. Okay? Where the hell's your fucking soul? But like I said, this has got to stop. This shit has to stop. This is playground crap for Trump. He's trying to get away with doing what he's been doing. Okay? He don't want to answer for it. Just like anybody who's like gets arrested for drinking and driving or speeding or whatever, they all want to get away with the crime. They all try to bitch and resist and all this stuff. He's going to do the same thing just like anybody else would. All right? He's no better than you. He's no worse, okay, than the worst of us. But he's going to do the first thing, and that's to resist. He's going to resist right to the bitter end. And so, like I said, we have to understand that because he's resisting justice, what he says to us about Obama, about Ghislaine, about Jeffrey Epstein, all these things that he's uttering here obviously are going to be tainted and possibly even out and out lies, okay? Because he's desperate. He's resisting. That's what he's doing. He's fighting to get away with a crime, okay? And I know I might be what can I say, prejudging or something like that, but nobody resists to this level if they aren't guilty of something involved in that. And if he isn't involved even in a small way, it's still a crime. It's still a crime. May not be a big crime, but it's still a crime to be involved in the sex trafficking thing. And if he knew anything about it, that makes him a criminal, okay? Even though he already is because he raped a woman, but you know what I'm saying, okay? He's still a criminal. And we have no reason to give a criminal any credence to try to slip by the bars and get away with it, okay? We got to stop doing that. People bitch all the time, oh, justice ever, it's a 2-tier, 3-tier system. Okay, we stop that by enforcing the laws we have. No matter who the person is that committed the crime, we have to enforce those laws, period. Anyway, that's it for today. So I hope everybody has a great rest of the weekend. So subscribe, comment, share, keep your ears open for health-related issues, and you know, work with your neighbors to keep your neighborhoods safe and help each other out when times get challenging, and they probably will soon. Who knows? But I'll talk to you guys later. So take care, everybody. Bye.